Hello everyone, my name is Aaron Boujon. I'm an Air Force photographer. I've been doing it for about 19 years now, almost 20. I'm going to talk about the major parts of a camera and what I think is the most three important parts to any type of camera there is. If you're talking about a little point and shoot like this, or if you're talking about the digital SLRs that are out there, you need to make sure that those three parts, you understand them, and you can actually capture better imagery once you figure out how to use those main working parts. So let's go ahead and get started. Have you ever looked at a photograph and just noticed how crisp it was, or how clean it looked, and it just looked very well exposed? Well, one of the most important things about that capture all those is your lens. Now your lens does about 3 or 4 things with that. It actually captures the focusing point of it. It actually captures the amount of time through your aperture, which is called your f-stop. And it also, uses for something like, for example, I prefer using a zoom lens, and this one particularly is a 24-70. So I don't have to do a lot of walking in and out. Maybe it's the lazy side of me or whatever, but I like to zoom in a little bit so I don't have to get in close and get all up in somebody's bubble. The same thing with the point and shoots. If you look at these, you automatically, if you turn it on, it shows you when the lens pops out. Now, if you notice that I can just pretty much, the easy way is to zoom out or zoom in, and it pretty much showed that the lens just came out. Now I'm zooming back in to where I get to the normal perspective. So the lens has a lot of different functions on there that you kind of want to understand. Like, for example, you want to make sure that the focusing capability there, the amount of light that you get, that's a very important part. And the fact that you can use zoom lens or get a fixed lens like what I'm showing you here. This is a fixed lens. It's they're pretty cool sources. I mean, but what I don't like about them is that I have to walk in and out to get exactly what I want to see in my field of view. Now, since we've talked about the lenses, which is the very first part, let's go ahead and go to the second part, which is considered your shutter speed. Now, the very important part about shutter speed is that it captures the time of what you're trying to show in the photo. So we talked about the amount of light that goes into your camera. Now we're talking about time, which is considered your shutter speed. Now, if you look at it from a point of view of, like, let's just say your eyelids, they open and close, that controls time of how much light goes into your eye, right? Well, that's the same concept that you have with your cameras. You consider the lens as kind of your pupil, and then the internal portion of it has a little curtain which can be considered your actual eyelids. So some cameras, they actually open up one at a time and then they close, or they go both at the same time and close, and they're usually overlapped. So let's just say we want to capture something that is like somebody running. Well, we just set our camera up to do like 1/60th of a second or 1/25th of a second to capture them, in a frozen motion. We just go like, it would just open up like that exactly at 1/60th or 1/25th of a second. Now let's just say we were trying to capture something in a dark area, like maybe we're trying to capture something outside, but it's pretty dark out. Well, that's where we need to set our time, where we set our eyelids to open up for a lengthy amount of time and then close. And then you'll capture whatever in the dark area. It's a very tricky thing, but it does work effectively if you understand that. Once you figure out what you're trying to do in that photo, you can just capture pretty much anything with the amount of time and the amount of light that you show. Now, the final thing that I'd like to show you that is very important on the cameras is power, battery source. You always have to have battery source. There's no way that this camera is going to work without this. The same for this one. There's no way that this camera is going to work without this battery. So you got to make sure that you always have battery source for it. I remember one time as I was learning how to take photos it's probably like 18 years ago or 19 years ago, my supervisor was trying to show me how to take a group photo, and he forgot to put some batteries in his camera. So once we got to the group photo, there was about 30 or 4 people that were pretty irritated, and he had to say there was a camera malfunction, and he had me run back to the shop and grab some batteries. Now, there are sources of point and shoots that actually use the double A's, but that gets pretty pricey. It gets pretty expensive. You go through a lot of them. Even the rechargeables don't last very long. So what I recommend is getting point and shoot cameras that actually, like I showed you here, that have the rechargeable, the battery chargers here. These are the MB5Ls, or you can get, I'm not saying don't get double A's, but what I'm saying is it gets more expensive and costly. So now we've talked about the power source. Now we're going to go back and talk about the shutter, which is kind of like your eyelid, opens and closes on your eyelid. It controls the amount of time that you use for your photographs, capturing something slow or something fast. Now we also talked about the amount of time, which was through your shutter speed, and then you got the amount of light, which is through your lenses, and then how to focus and all these other things. So after we've done that, I can guarantee you that if you can really concentrate on those 3 things, making sure that you have those 3 things together, I can almost guarantee you that you'll come out with better photographs. And so that's all I got to say about that, and I think you will start having better shots once you understand them. Thank you, and have a nice day.